Nobody tells you that the worst mistake of your life can show up wearing a smile that feels like home. Nobody warns you that one single glance, one stupid spark of attraction, can burn down everything you thought was safe. When my mom packed her bags and vanished from my life, leaving me under the care of some guy I barely knew, I thought I had reached the peak of disappointment. But then he walked into my world, his son, my so-called new brother by circumstance. And in that moment, my chest cracked open in ways it never should have. His name was Caleb. Tall, careless in the way only boys who never feared the world could be. His messy brown hair caught the sunlight like it belonged to a goddamn movie reel, and his smirk made me want to hit him and kiss him at the same time. I hated him before I even knew him, and yet, somehow, he was the only one who could read me like a book no one else ever bothered to open. We were supposed to be family, or at least pretend to be. But America doesn't take kindly to boys who look at each other the way I looked at Caleb, and it sure as hell doesn't forgive love stories that start in the shadow of broken families. The first time we met, it was at the doorway of the too clean, too perfect suburban house his dad now shared with me. He leaned on the frame like he owned it, chewing on a toothpick, eyes dragging lazily over me like I was a challenge he couldn't wait to take on. "So, you're the charity case," he said. I should have walked away. Instead, I clenched my jaw and met his gaze. "And you're the asshole I get stuck with." His grin widened, dangerous and amused. "Guess we're gonna have fun." It wasn't fun. Not at first. We fought about everything: who got the bigger bedroom, who ate the last slice of pizza, who controlled the remote. His presence was like a storm, knocking down every wall I tried to build around myself. And I hated that part of me didn't actually want the storm to stop. Late at night, lying in a bed that didn't feel like mine, I could hear his footsteps in the hall, his laugh drifting through the walls, low and careless. And it killed me because I shouldn't care. I shouldn't feel. But I did. God, I did. The first real crack in our fragile battlefield came one evening after a fight that left me storming out into the backyard. I had thrown words at him sharp enough to cut, and for once, his smirk had slipped. He followed me out, the cool September air wrapping around us like it was trying to calm us both. "You really hate me that much?" he asked, voice quieter than I'd ever heard it. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't have one, but because the truth was sitting heavy in my throat, impossible to admit. He stepped closer. Too close. Close enough that I could see the freckles across his nose, the small scar above his lip. Close enough that my heart was screaming at me to run. Instead, I whispered, "I don't hate you." And just like that, the war changed. From then on, there was something in the air between us, something electric, dangerous, magnetic. He started looking at me differently, not like a rival, but like someone he was trying to figure out. I caught myself memorizing the way his eyes softened when he wasn't trying to be an asshole. We danced on the edge of something neither of us had the courage to name. But secrets don't stay secrets for long. Not in a house where every glance feels like betrayal, where every brush of skin is a sin. One night, when the storm outside rattled the windows, we ended up trapped together in the living room after the power went out. The glow of a single candle painted his face in gold, and suddenly, silence wasn't awkward, it was heavy, thick, filled with words unsaid. "You ever feel like nobody actually sees you?" I asked before I could stop myself. His eyes met mine, steady, honest, all the damn time. It was the first time I realized Caleb wasn't just a storm. He was broken, too. And in that brokenness, I found a reflection of myself. I don't know who moved first, or if maybe the world tilted and shoved us together, but one moment we were staring, and the next, his hand brushed mine in the dark. Warm, real, terrifying. We didn't kiss that night. But something far more dangerous happened. We stopped being enemies. And that, I would learn, was a much bigger risk than hating him ever was. The thing about falling in love with someone you're not supposed to is that every step feels like walking a tightrope with fire beneath you. One wrong move and everything burns. For weeks, Caleb and I balanced on that edge, sometimes brushing too close, sometimes pretending we were miles apart. But the truth was already written between us. The breaking point came on a Friday night. His dad-me new guardian was away on a business trip, and the silence in the house was so sharp it almost ached. Caleb was sprawled across the couch, shirt riding up just enough to show a strip of skin, scrolling on his phone. I sat at the other end, pretending to watch TV, but every nerve in my body was tuned to him. "Why do you always look at me like I'm some kind of problem?" he asked suddenly, without looking up. My throat went dry. "Because you are." His laugh was quiet, bitter. "Then why don't you stay away?" The question hung between us, heavier than any fight we'd ever had. I didn't have an answer, at least not one I could say out loud. Because the truth was simple. I couldn't stay away. Not when he was the only person who made me feel alive. Not when his presence burned through the loneliness like sunlight through a storm. I didn't realize I'd moved until I was sitting closer, close enough to feel the warmth radiating off him. His phone dropped onto the couch. Forgotten. His eyes, those sharp, reckless eyes, met mine, and for the first time, there was no mask. Just raw, aching honesty. "You scare the hell out of me," I whispered. "Good," he breathed back, leaning in. "Because you scare me too." And then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle, it wasn't practiced, it was desperate, clumsy, like two boys who had been starving for something they didn't even know they needed. His hands slid to the back of my neck, pulling me closer, and every wall I'd built around my heart shattered in an instant. For the first time in years, I felt seen. But happiness, real happiness, never comes without a price. We thought we were careful. We thought no one noticed the way our shoulders brushed too long, the way our laughter filled the house like a secret language. But secrets leak, and whispers spread, and soon the world outside our fragile bubble came crashing in. It started with a neighbor, someone who had seen us walking home together, too close, too comfortable. Then a teacher at school caught the way Caleb's eyes lingered on me during practice. And then, the worst of all, his father came home early one night, only to find us tangled together on the couch, lips swollen, hearts laid bare. The look on his face still haunts me. Shock, anger, betrayal. "What the hell is going on here?" he roared. And just like that, our world crumbled. He called me names I'd only ever heard whispered in locker rooms. He shouted at Caleb, demanded to know how he could throw his future away for something so wrong. And I just stood there, frozen, every piece of me breaking under the weight of his judgment. Caleb didn't flinch. He stood tall, his hand still wrapped around mine like a lifeline. His voice was steady, even when his father's rage cracked the air. "This isn't wrong," he said. "He isn't wrong. I love him." The silence after those words was deafening. I expected his father to throw me out, to end everything right there. But instead, he turned his fury into rules, into control. He tried to keep us apart, tried to build walls so high that we'd suffocate under them. No more late nights, no more time alone, no more pretending we were anything but strangers under his roof. But love, once it takes root, doesn't die so easily. We found ways, passing notes, sneaking glances, meeting in the shadows of the backyard when the world was asleep. Every stolen moment felt like a rebellion, like proof that what we had was worth the risk. Still, the weight of it wore me down. I hated the lies, the constant fear of being caught, the way every kiss felt like both salvation and sin. Some nights, I lay awake wondering if Caleb would be better off without me, if maybe letting him go was the only way to protect him. But every time I thought of leaving, he found me. He'd sit on the edge of my bed, whispering promises in the dark. "You're not my mistake," he'd say. "You're the only thing I've ever gotten right." And I believed him. Months passed, and the storm between us and the world raged on. But slowly, something shifted. His father saw the way Caleb refused to back down, the way I refused to disappear. Maybe he realized love doesn't bend to rules, or maybe he just got tired of fighting. Either way, the screaming stopped. The rules softened. And one quiet Sunday morning, as we sat at the breakfast table in silence, he sighed and muttered, "Just don't make me regret letting this go." It wasn't approval, but it was something. Years later, when I look back, I don't remember the fights as much as I remember the moments in between. The way Caleb's hand felt in mine the first time we walked through town without hiding. The way he looked at me across a crowded graduation hall, pride shining brighter than fear. The way, against all odds, we carved out a life that belonged to us, not to anyone else's expectations. Falling for him was the most dangerous mistake of my life. But it was also the only choice that ever truly made me free. Because Caleb wasn't just the boy I wasn't supposed to love. He was the boy who saw me, who held my broken pieces together when no one else would. And in a world that tried to tear us apart, we found the courage to say no. No to shame. No to silence. No to living a life that wasn't ours. And in that no, we found our yes. Yes to love. Yes to us. Yes to forever. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.